Revealed, how a heartwarming encounter in a snowstorm transformed a billionaire CEO's life forever. Jake Thompson stared out of his penthouse, the Chicago skyline a glistening fortress of steel and glass. It was winter, the greatest season for distraction, and today a snowstorm was rearing its head, swallowing the city in thick, white blankets. But today was different. He could feel it in his bones. As the snow swirled furiously outside, Jake, a self-made billionaire in his mid-40s, was armed with his laptop, ready to tackle the day. Work had always been Jake's escape, numbers and contracts, a world where he reigned supreme. Little did he know, fate had a plan to pull him from his business bubble. The elevator shuddered to a stop. Not working. That was new. So, reluctantly, he pushed himself off the plush couch and began the descent down the icy stairwell. It was there that he collided with Mila Rivera. A single mother of two who had just moved into the building, carrying a bundle of groceries while juggling her kids' needs. Her face held the grit of determination. He could see that she was fighting her own battles, not only with the storm outside but with life itself. For a fleeting moment, they exchanged a hard look, the privileged billionaire set against the backdrop of a struggle-skinned mother. Sharp words danced on the tip of his tongue, but they turned to ice watching her frown. "Excuse me," she said, her voice deafening against the otherwise silent stairwell. "Can we move, please?" Jake stepped aside reluctantly, his heart thundering. He should have been unfazed, but here was a woman who carried the weight of the world on her shoulders. He could almost feel the chill clinging to her skin, the fire in her eyes sparking something long dormant in him. As fate would have it, the power went out, reaching into the very core of their high-rise. The residents scrambled into the dimly lit lobby, seeking comfort from the raging storm outside. It became a gathering spot for stories. Mr. Johnson, the war veteran, told tales of sacrifice. Mila sat nearby, her kids coloring on the floor, stealing glimpses at the old man's passion. Jake stood apart, feeling an unexpected pull towards them. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Jake felt like an outsider spying on a world he had long abandoned. The rawness of their stories painted the walls of his heart. He realized he had long neglected the human side of his empire. As the night deepened, hope ignited within him. He could do something. A charity fundraiser. His mind raced with ideas. He envisioned transforming this moment of despair into a rallying cry for unity and support. But then the shadows of doubt loomed large. Would his elitist peers cast him out for daring to reach across the divide? Would he face anger from people like Mila, who might question his sincerity? As the winds howled, Jake stood there, teetering on the edge of change. With the flickering light highlighting his resolute expression, his heart fought against a lifetime of conditioning. So here he was, with a storm raging outside and an internal tempest brewing within. Was he ready to step into a world he had always looked down upon? Would he truly champion the very people he had once considered beneath him? The air was thick with questions, the snow piling high outside, while life within began to spark anew. Jake pressed his palms against the cool glass of the lobby window, his breath fogging up the surface as he watched the rapidly falling snow. It was mesmerizing the way the flakes danced in the wind, swirling into chaos yet somehow settling into soft drifts. He wondered if this storm would bury or reveal what lay beneath the surface, not just in the city, but within him. As the stories that filled the room enveloped him, he tried to ground himself, anchoring his thoughts on the tangible warmth of the lobby. His gaze turned towards Mila, who was now on the floor with her children, encouraging them to work on their coloring. Their laughter spilled forth like a soothing balm against the tension that had built up within him. Watching her interact with her kids, Jake felt something he thought he had lost: connection. Mila caught his eye and offered a tentative smile. It was a fleeting moment, but it pierced through the layers he had built around himself. He felt an urge to approach, to talk, yet insecurity kept him rooted to the spot. He didn't want to come off as that elitist billionaire, looking for redemption or trying too hard. But the thought of remaining a spectator when he could be a participant gnawed at him. "Jake. You alright?" Mr. Johnson's voice broke through his reverie. The veteran's expression was filled with empathy, his wrinkled brow knitted together as he eyed Jake with subtle concern. It struck Jake that this man, who had faced life with all its unbearable burdens, was offering him an outstretched hand and invitation into their world. "Yeah, just thinking," Jake replied, feeling foolish for even responding. "There's a lot to think about at times like this," Johnson mused, his voice carrying the weight of experience. "But action is where the real change begins." Mila nodded in agreement, her children now engrossed in their art, oblivious to the storm swirling outside. "Sometimes we need that push, a reason to step out of our bubble." Her words were soft yet measured, and they wrapped around Jake like a warm scarf against the icy winds trying to invade his heart. Suddenly, it clicked. The idea he had birthed just moments before now burned brightly in his mind. The fundraiser, yes, it needed to happen. Not only to raise money but to spark conversations, to connect people. He imagined tables filled with excitement and laughter, each seat occupied by someone from a different story, a blend of his world and theirs. Exhaling slowly, Jake turned back to the window. There was a world out there that needed him, but more importantly, he needed them. What would it take to cross that line? To break those barriers? His determination solidified when he thought of Mila and her children, and he felt a flicker of hope. They could do this together. They wouldn't just be telling stories, they'd be making them. "All right," he declared softly, but it was loud enough for Mr. Johnson and Mila to hear. "Let's make it happen. I want to start a fundraiser right here in this building." The eyes of the room turned toward him, surprise mixed with intrigue. Conversations paused, leaving an expectant silence hanging in the air. Jake felt his pulse quicken. This was at the moment of truth. But was he truly ready to embrace this journey? Ready to dive into a world that would confront every bias he had once held? In that charged atmosphere, the swirling snow outside became an echo of the turmoil deep in his heart, the quest for connection and transformation. Would he take the leap, or would he retreat back to the safety of his luxurious fortress? "Yes." Mila's voice rang out, breaking through his thoughts as she stood, her expression lighting up in a way that made Jake's heart skip. "Let's do it." But as the room started buzzing with excitement, Jake couldn't shake the question that clung tightly: what if organizing this meant unraveling threads of his life he wasn't ready to face? Jake felt the air shift around him, the anticipation bubbling. The words hung there, a fragile thread ready to snap under the weight of expectation. Those gathered in the lobby exchanged glances, the kind that sought reassurance and partnership in this new venture. As Mila clapped her hands, drawing the attention of her children back to her, Jake's heart raced. The deafening silence that had wrapped around him moments ago began to fade as one by one, eager voices chimed in. "A fundraiser?" Mr. Johnson's brow furrowed, but there was an unmistakable spark in his eyes. "That could do a lot of good." "Absolutely. We could raise funds for the shelter," Mila chimed in, her enthusiasm contagious. They were brainstorming now, tossing ideas as if they were snowflakes, each one unique and brilliant. Jake leaned against the cool glass, absorbing their excitement. It was refreshing to talk about something bigger than himself. He wanted to dive into every conversation, to weave his vision into the fabric of this community. What if we made it a community night? Everyone involved could bring a dish, something from their culture. Mila suggested, and Jake could see her vision unfolding, a tapestry of flavors, stories, and friendships. "Let's really get everyone together," Jake added, his pulse steadying as confidence rooted itself in him. "It should be a celebration. A night where everyone feels seen and valued." His eyes met Mila's, and in that brief exchange, he understood there was a shift happening, a movement that began with that tiny spark of determination. A flicker of fear gripped him again. What did he truly know about organizing such an event? Managing people, balancing personalities. Are you sure you want to do this? Mr. Johnson asked, concern etched on his face. It'll take a lot of effort. I'm ready, Jake asserted, feeling the word solidify his resolve. He couldn't afford to back down now. I need to do this. Amid the flurry of planning, laughter erupted as Mila's children displayed their colorful drawings. They were bright and hopeful, just like the vision emerging around them. For the first time in a long while, Jake felt lighter. The heaviness that had plagued him began to lift, replaced with clarity. As the snow continued to pile outside, tying the world into a beautiful white blanket, a sense of belonging washed over him. Maybe this was where he needed to be shoulder to shoulder with them, sharing stories, learning different lives. It wasn't just about the money, it was about connection, community, and erasing those invisible lines. Jake couldn't help but smile as he thought of the luminous night ahead. Would it be a success? Or would it be a disaster? The joy swelled within him, mixing with uncertainty. But the emotions danced together harmoniously, giving him the courage to push through the anxiety. Mila, he asked suddenly, hope threading his words, would you help me plan this? I can't do it alone. I mean, I don't know who to invite, or how to do this. Of course, Mila replied, her eyes wide with excitement. We can rally the whole building. I know families, artists, there's so much talent here. Jake felt gratitude blooming in his chest as he watched her enthusiasm spark more ideas around the room. People began to share contacts, their skills, and their visions. He felt the atmosphere shift as if the room was now bursting with possibilities. The conversation flowed, ideas soared, but beneath it all lay another question, one that wormed its way into a corner of his mind. What if pulling together this event forced him to confront the shadows of his past? Would it challenge his identity, make him face the very truths he had been avoiding? But as laughter filled the air and plans came together, the warmth of connection seemed to overshadow the doubts creeping in. Jake's heart was pounding with a newfound energy. They were onto something special, and amidst this beautiful storm, he felt ready to embrace it. Let us meet again tomorrow to finalize our plans, Jake stated, clapping his hands together to cut through the chatter. As they all agreed. A change was taking place, small but significant. But as everyone started to disperse, a nagging thought surfaced: what if this journey led him to discover something he was terrified to confront? Jake took a deep breath, knowing that whatever lay ahead, he was finally ready to face it. Would this leap into vulnerability open doors he never knew existed? The next morning brought a clear blue sky, the sunlight glinting off the fresh layer of snow like a blanket of diamonds. Jake woke with a swirling mix of hope and apprehension. The thoughts of the previous night buzzed in his mind. They were going to do this finally, he would feel like he belonged. He dressed quickly, barely registering the details of his surroundings as he headed out to meet Mila and the others. The buzz in the building was palpable, a sense of unity hanging in the air like the warmth of a fireplace. As he approached the community room, he paused, gathering his thoughts and steeling himself against doubts. Mila was already there, organizing papers and notes, her children busy drawing at a table nearby. The sight ignited a spark of determination in him. They were all in this together, and he didn't have to carry the weight alone. He stepped inside, greeted by the laughter of the children, slicing through his nerves like a hot knife through butter. Jake! Good morning! Mila exclaimed with a bright smile, which immediately calmed the rattle in his chest. She motioned him closer. I've made a list of potential invitees and some ideas for activities. Check this out. Jake leaned over the table, scanning her notes. The ideas flowed seamlessly: games for kids, a cooking demonstration, and even a storytelling corner where neighbors could share their experiences. Each suggestion illuminated the richness of their diverse community, and he felt a warmth spreading through him. This is amazing, Mila, he said, a genuine smile breaking across his face. I didn't realize we could do so much. We need to involve the local musicians too. Make it a real celebration. Mila's eyes sparkled. Yes. And we can set up a donation station, share stories of how these funds will help the shelter. People love to connect over personal experiences. As they dived into the planning, Jake felt the walls he had erected around himself slowly start to dissolve. He became laid back around people, laughing at Mila's jokes, exchanging ideas with the kids. For the first time in a long while, he was not hiding behind his success or wealth. He was just Jake, surrounded by bright souls. Hours flew by in a whirlwind of discussions, laughter, and doodles of plans on paper. When the clock signaled they needed to wrap up, Jake reluctantly stepped back to catch his breath. The energy in the room was electric. "Let us meet again tomorrow, same time," he suggested, already picturing the excitement they'd experience in pulling this event together. "Absolutely," Mila replied, a glimmer of determination in her eyes. As they began to gather their things, Jake noticed Mr. Johnson approaching, the older man's face serious yet warm. "I've been thinking about the fundraiser. You know, really want to help. I've seen the good work being done at that shelter. Let me share your idea in my church. Maybe they'd like to contribute too." Jake's heart swelled with gratitude. "That would be incredible. Thank you, Mr. Johnson." As they exchanged contact information, Jake's mind drifted. This was becoming something bigger than just an event. It was about bringing together lives, crafting bonds among different cultures, and bridging the gap that had often felt insurmountable. Later that evening, when he returned home, he unwrapped a cozy blanket and sank into a chair by the window. He watched the sunset paint the sky in vibrant oranges and purples while his thoughts raced. How had he gone from isolation to being part of this community? Yet, the deeper question lingered: what if this outreach revealed sides of himself he had buried forever? Taking a deep breath, Jake faced it head-on. What was he truly willing to expose about his past? As the vibrant colors faded into dark, he felt a flicker of anticipation. Tomorrow would not just be about planning, it could also be about uncovering his own truths, what was waiting for him in that brave new world. Morning greeted Jake with an unexpected chill that nipped at his cheeks as he stepped outside. The world had transformed overnight into a winter wonderland, trees dressed in white and rooftops adorned with glistening icicles. As he moved through the snowy streets toward the community center, he replayed last night's thoughts in his mind. The anticipation grew, but he carried a quiet weight, a mix of excitement and fear about opening up. Mila was already at the community center, a whirlwind of energy, setting up banners for their fundraising event. The children dashed around her, sledding down small hills of freshly piled snow outside. Their laughter was infectious, creeping under his skin and lifting some of his trepidation. He inhaled deeply, letting the crisp air inspire courage. "Jake! You're right on time," Mila called, waving him over. Her enthusiasm washed over him like a warm blanket. "I have some big news. Mr. Johnson's church is on board. They're committing to help." "That's incredible," Jake exclaimed, his heart racing a little faster. The possibilities sparkled before him like the snow in the sunlight. "What else can we do?" Mila glanced toward the kids, their faces flushed with excitement as they approached. "I thought we could organize an art corner for them. They can make decorations for the venue and even some art about the theme of community." "Great idea," Jake said, feeling a surge of creativity. "And how about we collect stories along with art? We can capture these moments for others to connect with later." Together, they customized every detail, crafting a plan that evolved with each word shared. Community involvement became the core of their initiative, with each neighbor bringing a piece of themselves to the table. As they mapped things out, Jake felt more connected than ever, letting laughter and shared purpose melt away the walls he'd built around himself. Just as they wrapped up their planning, a sudden gust of wind whipped through the door, forcing it open with a gust. In walked a tall figure, his face partially obscured by a scarf, but Jake recognized him instantly: Mr. Johnson. The older man had a determined look in his eyes. "I spoke to some folks from the local cafe," he said, his voice booming over the laughter of the kids. "They want to help out too. Free coffee for the event, and they're even thinking about free snacks. A coffee station would definitely keep spirits high, Mila responded, her eyes wide with enthusiasm. Jake couldn't help but smile. A community was blossoming, all these lives intertwining, stretching beyond the boundaries that had once held him back. Yet a flicker of vulnerability crept into his mind. As the day drew to a close and the kids began to wrap up their art projects, Jake lingered at the back of the room. Despite the warmth surrounding him, shadows of his past began to whisper in his ears. Would he have to share more than just his excitement for this event? Would he need to reveal the fears and failures he had so painstakingly buried? Mila approached him, noticing his sudden stillness. Everything okay? He met her gaze, searching for the words. I think, I might have to share my story too. About how I ended up here. Anxiety knotted his stomach, but an unexpected strength pushed him forward. The journey was about more than just the fundraiser, it was about coming together and revealing truths. Mila smiled gently, encouragement radiating from her. You have a voice worth sharing. The community is here for you, every step of the way. Just then, laughter erupted outside, drawing their attention. They rushed toward the window, joining the children as cheers erupted over a successful snowball fight. Jake watched, a desire already taking root within him. With every child's laugh, he felt the call to be brave. But was he truly ready? Could he lay everything bare? Tomorrow, he would have to decide if he could face his past head-on or risk losing this newfound belonging. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow on the snow, Jake pondered the answer. What truth would he dare to reveal in the light of day? The morning sun hesitated, peeking through the clouds as Jake made his way to the community center again. Each step felt heavier than the last, the weight of what he might say pressing on him like the snow piled high on the sidewalks. Today was the day he had to share. Today was the day he could either break free or remain trapped. Arriving at the center, he noticed it buzzing with activity. Kids were bustling around, carrying artwork hung from strings that danced in the chilly air. Laughter echoed, filling the space with the kind of warmth that made you forget the cold outside. Jake. Mila saw him first and rushed over, her smile brightening even the dull winter morning. Are you ready for this? The question lingered in the air. Ready for what, exactly? To reveal his past. To let this town in. Anxiety twisted in his gut as he nodded weakly. I think so. I couldn't sleep last night. Mila squeezed his arm reassuringly. You're not alone. Remember, everyone here has their own story. You're part of a community now. He drew strength from her words, but doubt still nagged at the back of his mind. What if they judged him? What if they pulled away, not wanting to connect with someone broken? Come on. We're starting soon. Mila ushered him toward the main room. The gentle clamor swelled around them, like the excited buzz of bees gathering around honey. Inside, chairs were arranged in a circle, each one filled with eager faces. The children, their cheeks flushed from the cold, stared at him with bright eyes, excited and curious. He swallowed hard, realizing this wasn't just about him. Let's kick things off. Mila clapped her hands together, drawing everyone's attention. As part of our fundraiser, we want to create a space for everyone to share their stories, some laughter, some art. Jake here volunteered to start us off. A hush fell over the room, the weight of expectation hanging thick in the air. Jake took a deep breath. Heart pounding, he stepped forward. Hey everyone. His voice faltered slightly as he looked into the sea of young smiling faces and some familiar neighbors. My name is Jake, and I've had a really tough time lately. I moved here not long ago, and to be honest, it was because I needed a fresh start. The room was silent. His pulse thundered in his ears. The kids leaned in closer, as if this were a secret just for them. I lost my job. I lost my way for a while. I thought I was done. I didn't know how to reach out. It felt impossible. He paused, the memories of loneliness surfacing like icy waves crashing against his resolve. But then I met Mila and this incredible community. He looked around, drawing courage from their wide-eyed expressions. You all welcomed me. You made me feel like I belonged when I thought I never would again. A soft murmur of understanding flowed through the crowd. Jake could see the empathy reflected in the glances exchanged among the adults. Perhaps he wasn't alone in this. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel lost. But sharing your story can turn fear into strength. And I want you to know you're not alone either. There was a pause, a stillness as words hung in the air like freshly fallen snow. Mila stepped up beside him, her eyes shimmering with pride. Let us make this a space where everyone can share. We're all connected, and sharing helps us grow together. Because that's what community is all about. The enthusiasm bubbled up again, a wave of laughter and chatter reclaiming the space. Jake felt his heart swell with hope. Perhaps he could be a part of something meaningful. But just as he seemed to find his footing, he caught sight of a figure lingering outside the window, a familiar face, one he hadn't seen in years. His heart dropped. Would that person recognize him? Would shadows from his past find their way back into his life now? As the laughter continued inside, Jake's world felt like it was shifting again. The past wasn't finished with him just yet. What truths would resurface when the ice began to thaw? Jake's breath quickened as he locked eyes with the figure outside. The familiar lines of worry and regret etched on their face sent an icy jolt through him. It was Sam, his old boss, the man whose decisions had caused chaos in his life, leaving him jobless and adrift. A flood of memories assaulted him: late nights, unyielding pressure, and the cracks in his own spirit that seemed to widen under the weight of expectations. Jake. Mila's voice cut through the haze surrounding him. You okay? He forced a smile that felt more like a grimace. Yeah, just thinking. Remember, you have every right to share your story, she whispered, squeezing his arm gently. But the gentle warmth of her words did little to warm the frost of fear creeping into his heart. Jake's gaze flickered back to Sam, who was now glancing around, seemingly uncertain as to whether he should enter the community center. Was he here to confront Jake? Or had he come to look at what remained of the life he once held in his grasp? The laughter inside grew louder, creating a stark contrast to the turmoil inside Jake's chest. He took a deep breath, feeling his pulse race. For a moment, the stories of hope and resilience warmly shared by children and adults alike felt miles away. Okay, everyone. Who wants to share their story next? Mila called out, breaking Jake from his reverie. All eyes turned from Jake to a young girl named Lily, who sat with a large sketchbook clutched tightly to her chest. She blushed under the weight of attention, her wide eyes glimmering. I'll go. She stammered, rising onto shaky legs. Jake watched her with mounting admiration. If this little girl could brave the spotlight, perhaps so could he. He needed to confront Sam, and not just for himself but for everyone who had ever felt the weight of their past holding them back. While Lily shared her artwork and the inspiration behind each piece, Jake's mind raced. He felt a warmth brewing deep inside him, kindled by the hope on display in that room. People were sharing their stories, exposing vulnerabilities, and finding strength within one another. He had to do the same. As Lily finished, the room erupted in applause. Jake caught Sam's eye again. This time, there was no turning back. He stood up, his heart pounding like thunder in his ears. I have something to say too. The sudden silence sent a chill through the room as all eyes turned back to him. I need to get something off my chest. It was strange how much the sound of his own voice echoed back to him. This was not just about Sam, it was about freeing himself from the chains of doubt and fear. Taking another steadying breath, Jake stepped outside into the cold. The sharp air hit his face, clearing the fog in his mind. Sam shifted in surprise but remained rooted to the spot. Jake, wait, Jake interrupted, stepping closer, the crisp air amplifying his determination. Let me finish. The snow crunched beneath his feet, time seeming to stretch oddly as he prepared to confront the man who had once held so much power over his life. "You hurt me, Sam. I felt lost, and I thought it was my fault. But now, I realize it wasn't just me. It's about accountability, about finding strength in truth." He could see confusion flicker across Sam's face. But Jake pressed on, ignoring the knot of anxiety in his stomach. "Today is about sharing and connecting. I'm not still that lost person you knew. I'm here to take my life back, even if that means facing ghosts I thought I buried." "What do you want me to say, Jake?" Sam replied softly, a hint of remorse creeping into his voice. "But now, I want you to be part of that change, too. It's not just about me finding my footing again. It's about understanding where our stories intersect." Jake's voice strengthened with every word. "I hope you understand that sharing matters. And I hope you can share where you're at now, too." From behind him, a flicker of support arose from the crowd pouring out of the center, drawn outside by the unfolding drama. He felt the warmth of their presence, bolstering his resolve. "I am where I am because of a lot of mistakes," Sam finally admitted, his eyes softening. "But I don't want to be that person anymore." Jake could sense a shift in their dynamic, the air heavy yet charged with possibility. Friends and strangers alike were watching, their interest palpable. In this moment of rigid uncertainty, the clouds overhead began to part slightly, the sun breaking through. What would happen next? Could this be the beginning of a new chapter for both of them? With all eyes, including his own, locked on Sam, Jake took a breath, waiting to see if the past would finally pave the way for healing. Would the moment bring them together or drive a further wedge? The answer felt dangerously close, yet just out of reach. Sam looked at Jake, his face revealing an array of emotions that flickered like candlelight in the wind. For a brief moment, it seemed as though he was about to fold in on himself, torn between the past and a whispered possibility of redemption. Sam hesitated, swallowing hard as he scratched the back of his neck. "I didn't know you were feeling that way. I thought I was pushing you to be better, stronger." "Better? Stronger?" Jake echoed, his voice rising slightly, fueled by the memories that rushed in. "You pushed me away, Sam. I lost everything because of your pressure and unrealistic expectations. I still carry those scars. But I also know those scars can heal." The spectators, huddled together in the chill, leaned in closer. Their breaths formed little clouds in the air as they waited. Jake's heart raced. Could this be a turning point? His thoughts darted between anger and hope like a child on a sugar high. "It's tough to own up to mistakes," Sam muttered, vulnerability creeping in. "I messed up. I thought I was doing what was best for the company." "And you forgot about the people behind it," Jake shot back. "What good is a thriving business if your employees are ruined?" Awkward silence cocooned them, melding with the cool breeze rustling the branches above. Jake watched Sam's expressions shift, each one revealing a deeper understanding. Perhaps Sam was not just reflecting on his own failures, but examining the mess they had created together. "I never wanted to hurt you, Jake, but I did. And I do want to change that," Sam finally confessed, his voice breaking. "I want to own up to my mistakes in a way that matters." The words hung in the air like fresh snow, a rare truce that was fragile yet beautiful. For the first time, Jake saw something different in Sam's eyes, shame mixed with the sparks of sincerity. There was a chance that they could carve a new path together, away from the wreckage of their past. Mila's gentle nudging of the crowd made Jake realize the attention around them. It felt different now, less hostile and more like shared witnessing. The tension had melted slightly, replaced by a sense of connection. "Maybe we can start here," Jake suggested, his voice steadier now. "Start with the truth. Not just for us, but for everyone else who feels they can't be honest about their struggles. If you're willing, share your side of this." Sam exhaled slowly, a mix of relief and fear washing over his features. "I'm willing. I want to. But it's going to be hard. Jake nodded. It's supposed to be hard. But it's also supposed to be real. We deserve that, each of us a chance to start fresh. Just as Sam seemed ready to speak, laughter erupted from the kids returning to the center. They were chasing each other, bright smiles shining through the chilly air, oblivious to the gravity of the conversation outside. It was in that sweet moment of innocence that Jake found an inkling of hope. He was reminded that healing not only required confrontation, it needed joy too. Let us go back in, Jake said, gesturing toward the warmth of the center. Let us join them. If we're to build something new, we start right there, with those stories of courage. Together. Sam managed a nod, a flicker of resolve igniting in his eyes. They turned toward the doorway, their shared journey just beginning. As they stepped inside, a sense of anticipation filled the air. Would their actions make a difference? Could sharing truly be the precursor to real change? With each step, Jake felt himself moving closer to answers that could redefine not only their lives but the lives of everyone around them. What would they discover in the colorful world of stories waiting to be shared? As they crossed the threshold into the center, a wave of warmth enveloped Jake and Sam. The vibrant ambience buzzed with chatter and laughter, a stark contrast to the weighty conversation they had just shared. Children darted past them, their excitement palpable, sending ripples of laughter floating through the air. It was a world lit with joy, one they both desperately needed to embrace. Jake took a moment to soak in the scene. The room was alive with colors, decorations hanging from the rafters, and the soft glow of fairy lights strung across the ceiling. This was a space filled with possibility. He glanced sideways at Sam, who looked overwhelmed but determined. The tension that had clouded their earlier discussion had not disappeared, but it felt lighter now. Hey, Jake said gently, nudging Sam back to the present. You ready? Sam took a deep breath, his posture reshaping itself as he readied for what lay ahead. I don't know. But we've got to try, right? Right. We're in this together. As they moved deeper into the center, they caught snippets of conversations drifting through the air, stories of triumph and resilience. Every story told was a seed of hope. People shared their struggles, peeling back layers of pain, revealing the heart beneath. Sam's eyes widened as he listened, captivated yet hesitant. Each true confession struck a chord, pulling at his own buried emotions. Encouraged by the atmosphere, Jake handed Sam a microphone. Go on, he said, his own heart racing. It's your turn. Sam stammered, his grip tightening around the cool metal. Relief and fear clashed within him. I never thought I'd be the one standing up here, sharing my story. But I guess that's the beauty of this moment. None of us is alone. Jake watched Sam courageously prepare to lay bare his experiences, a part of him rooting for the man who was striving to change. Sam's voice steadied as he spoke about the first time he felt the burden of expectations. About the sleepless nights spent worrying if he had let everyone down. The more he spoke, the more Jake could see the weight lifting from Sam's shoulders. As Sam shared, a hush fell over the room. Every eye was on him, captured by the sincerity of his words. He spoke of mistakes made, and of the cost of ambition. And then, for the first time, he acknowledged the pain he had caused those he cared about. The sincerity in his voice wove a thread of connection among the crowd, drawing out unspoken empathy and understanding. Jake couldn't help but feel that something profound was happening. The audience was not just witnesses, they were participants, collectively feeling the strain of Sam's past and the hope of his potential for change. By the time Sam finished his story, the room erupted into applause. People stood, tears glistening in their eyes, hearts swelled in solidarity with Sam's journey. It was a cathartic release, not just for Sam, but for everyone present. This is what it meant to be vulnerable, to let go of the burden and invite healing. Caught in the moment, Jake felt a rush of gratitude washing over him. They were beginning to understand that the road to healing was paved with honesty, not only between them but in every conversation that echoed through the center. As the applause faded, Sam turned to Jake, a look of astonishment painted across his face. I didn't know. I didn't know it could feel like that. Neither did I, Jake admitted with a smile. But I think we're just getting started. In the corner, a little girl grabbed her dad's hand. Can I tell my story next? She asked eagerly, fresh determination etched on her face. Jake and Sam exchanged glances, an unspoken understanding passing between them. How many others had fears to face and stories to share? Absolutely, Jake replied, heart swelling, realizing that this wasn't just about them anymore. Standing amidst hope, they felt a spark ignite. But would their journey inspire the hearts that needed it most? Jake wondered as they welcomed the next storyteller. The room buzzed with anticipation, excitement permeating the air like perfume. Jake felt a pulse of energy coursing through him, and the past began to flicker away, replaced by the warmth of this new beginning. The little girl stepped up, her father beside her, and Jake felt a swell of pride. This was what community was, a tapestry woven from threads of each person's story, bright and dark, a celebration of life's chaos and beauty. Okay, everyone. Mila called, her voice cutting through the chatter. Next up is Lily, and she's bursting with a story to share about her artwork. In the spotlight, the little girl shyly clutched her sketchbook. The room quieted, and all eyes turned to her, sparkling with encouragement. I made this drawing, she began, her voice small, but growing stronger as she spoke of her creations, the rainbow colors representing joy, a stormy gray that held the silence of sorrow. With every stroke of her pencil, she reminded everyone that life was a mix of light and dark, just like their experiences. Applause erupted as she finished, and in that moment, everyone felt like family. They weren't just strangers sharing a space, they were allies in the fight against isolation, fear, and misunderstanding. Each story sparked another, layering together like the colorful decorations hanging from the walls. Next, Jake realized it was his turn again. He felt a rush of nervousness but grounded himself in the warmth of support radiating from his neighbors. I guess it's my turn too, he said cautiously, stepping forward. Seeing all of you share reminds me that we all have battles we fight, some big, some small. I used to think that vulnerability made me weak. But really, it's the key to connection. He shared his history, the rise and fall, the weight of ambition that stunted his joy, and the moment he realized he was living a customized life devoid of true companionship. Every word felt liberating, fears lay bare, unveiled and reclaimed, unveiling who he truly was beneath the moniker of the billionaire. The room held its breath as he compared his journey to navigating a fierce storm, the fierce winds threatening to knock him down, yet a new perspective was changing his course. I want you all to know this: it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to lean on one another. This time, applause erupted with deeper conviction. The fusion of their stories had molded a bridge that spanned their diverse lives, solidifying ties that wouldn't easily break. Then, it was Sam's turn again. Jake glanced over, his former boss standing, looking apprehensive yet ready. I never thought I'd be speaking here today. Sam's voice quivered slightly, but determination sharpened the edges. That was the old me wrapped up in ambition without realizing the cost of ignoring people. I've spent too much time building walls. The crowd listened intently as Sam recounted his journey to the Epiphany, revealing how monetary success could build golden ceilings while creating human desolation below. His raw admission of fault struck chords of recognition. One after another, people nodded, whispering with understanding. Here was a man acknowledging the pain he had inflicted, eager to be part of a healing narrative. As the stories continued to flow, laughter and camaraderie replaced past animosities. Jake felt lighter with each shared account, the chains of guilt and fear clinking ever louder as if jubilantly breaking apart. When the last voice finished, the room erupted into a symphony of applause. People stood, their energy electrifying, their hearts vast with understanding. They had shared their burdens, their tales knotted together in a sentiment of hope. Jake couldn't help but relish this moment. It was transformational. It was community. Let us celebrate our journey together. Mila cried, and the crowd erupted with agreement. They organized a plan for food, including everyone's favorite dishes, turning their upcoming potluck into a manifestation of love and unity, a feast of collaboration. As their laughter bounced off the walls and new friendships blossomed, Jake watched as the community no longer felt like a simple assembly of floor plans and loud echoes. It became a real home, one built on love, respect, and the dignity of shared lives. With Sam now standing shoulder to shoulder with him, Jake's heart soared, realizing this journey was only the beginning. They had unwrapped truths, breached barriers, and in doing so, found not only healing but strength in numbers. Finally, he felt connected, not just to a community but to life itself. As the sun began to dip low, painting the exits with golden hues, Jake realized there would always be storms. But what mattered more was who stood beside him through them. "Are we ready?" he asked Sam and Mila, a radiant smile breaking across his face. "Absolutely," they chimed in unison, their grins powerful and true. And with every intention of moving forward, Jake not only found purpose, he discovered family. Together, they stepped into the night, true allies against whatever storms may come. Now, you need to subscribe immediately to this channel. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Hit that like button to support us. Your engagement means the world. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful transformation and share this video with at least 5 friends who absolutely need to hear this message. Your support makes a difference, so let us spread this journey far and wide.